All right. Okay, all right. I'm laughing. Liza in the chat was making me laugh. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Liza. Welcome, Natalie. Welcome, everybody else who's here and hasn't said anything yet. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday evening. And let's have some fun doing a little painting. What I'm going to paint for you. You can see him up there. I've kind of got him flipped tail up, tail down, I guess, to make him a little bigger. And I've pre-drawn it here. I've also drawn on a kind of a fly fishing reel there, just to add a little bit of interest rather than just having one fish out there. A couple other people here, ZC, Dana, welcome. Let's see, I'm going to jump in. Oh, no, I'm going to tell you what I've got first. So as has been the way I've been doing it for a while, the paper that I've got here is Fabriano Studio watercolor paper. The brushes that I'm using are my King Art brushes, and my paints over here on my right hand side once again are my M Graham paints, which I love very much. And I'm going to get started with this guy, and I'm going to do something I don't always do. I probably should do a little bit more. Is I am going to pre-wet this guy so we can push some paint around on here for a little while and let these paints kind of mingle and have fun. The way I see this fish, I'll tell you as I'm just putting some water on here, it's got a bit of ochreness to it, like a yellow ochreness for a large part of this fish, kind of through the body. But there's a bit of green to him too, especially as we get a little bit more to the extremes of this fish. His head and his tail definitely have some greens in there. And then the one thing that really makes this fish so stunning, and no, it's not the spots. It's the fact that he's got this big red, orangey red, kind of a vermilion stripe running right down his center line. And I'm going to hope to get that on there very nicely. We'll see how all of this goes. I was trying to decide what to paint, and I went, I've got a fish head reference photo that I want to do really large. Look at it and do it really large. And in this case, I guess having a fish head is much better than actually having the fish, because the fish head wouldn't last for very long before it got a little stinky. I want to do it like maybe twice this size, quite large. And then I was like, well, I think this would be good practice for me, just to see if I can do it. It's just to do the whole fish, and let's check it out. So that's kind of where I'm coming at with this. Now, the reference photo I have over there, and I've got it on my computer monitor also. But as I look at it, the fins on this, the tail fin, the dorsal fin, this anterior fin down here really have some wonderful colors in them. Some reds and some blues, maybe a little bit of gray in there. And of course some of this beautiful ochre color. Let's see, I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of an orangey red in here. I'm going to use Pyrrol Red and a little bit of a little bit of Azo Orange. I had to really think for a second what my colors were. I'm going to put a nice big stripe on this guy. I know I'm working really fast. I understand that. I understand that. Just let me get through this, and then I'll have a lot of time to talk. I promise. I'll probably have a lot of time to talk. I've got some updates for everybody. I want to show you some things I've been working on, some things I'm going to do maybe. I don't know, a number of things. Now up here in his head, he's got these wonderful, this wonderful greenish area. And I think that's just kind of still damp enough up here. I can put a little bit of that green in and kind of, I'm not putting it in very dark. I'm hoping that all these colors are going to kind of mix together and play happily together, and we'll see how this really goes. But kind of the further this comes back, I miss out on some of that green, and then I look at it and there's some of this green back here, but I'm trying just to get on a few basic colors at the moment. I think I'm going to stop there while I'm ahead, and I'm going to do kind of some of his jaw up here. Too dry. We'll just finish out all of this color all around here. And if it's not exactly right, that's okay. It's all right. We'll come back and we'll fix it or make it right, or we'll adapt however we see fit. Okay. There's my first my first layer on here. Okay, let's see what everybody's saying. And then we can catch up a little bit while this is drying, and then we can go back in and enhance a lot of these colors. Let's see. Cheryl Kaminsky is here. Hello, all the way from Virginia. Welcome, Cheryl. Welcome. Let's see. My husband is a fly fisherman. We rarely get to eat trout as he always releases them. That's a good thing. I've taken up fishing here around me in a reservoir, and we won't talk about how many fish I've actually caught, but I'm going to release them all back into the water. The enjoyment for me at this point is in the catching, not in the eating. Natalie, you said many years ago you designed and cross-stitched a rainbow trout for your husband. Wow. That's interesting. Liza says, why would you release him? Everybody's saying hello to Cheryl, and Tracy Perkins is here too. Hello, Tracy. I caught Tracy over the weekend doing a drawing. Very detailed, much more detailed than I could ever do or would ever have the patience to do. I promise you that. It looked fantastic. Bicycle Repairman is here. Welcome. And Sudike is here. Everybody, the whole gang is here. Susie is here. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. Oh, no. And we've been streaming here 10 minutes, and already the conversation has turned to paint. Da Vinci Paint is having a watercolor sale if you need anything. Now, that's going to spark a lot of debate about who uses Da Vinci and what colors they like and everything. That's fantastic. Good. If you need any paint, I hope that they've got it for you. Liza says, this was a great choice for tonight. It's a beautiful fish. Rainbow trout are lovely, lovely fish. Sudike saying, please don't talk about paint sales. That's funny. And then people are asking where Cheryl's at in Virginia, which is a long way away. Okay, so this is still drying. We all know I have limited luck with turning on the hairdryer. So while this is going, I'm going to grab a couple things to show you what I've been up to. All right, that didn't take long. And I was just having some fun with this first one. Let me move this out of the way. Just having some fun with this first one. Not really trying to do anything serious. You're going to see. But this one is my... I've been calling it a Geranguin. It's a lot of fun to do mashups. I got a long way. I figure I've got another hour or so to go on this. But that's my Geranguin. Just a little fun thing there. Let's see. Oh, here's the next one. I think I posted this in Discord. Somebody asked about painting hair or painting a cow, a hairy cow. And I said I had started a painting. Well, I did a little bit more work on that painting just to try to get the feel for how to paint hair, because hair is always difficult. You end up doing... Sure, he thought he was a cheer duck. Hair is difficult because you invariably do a lot of negative painting, the dark spaces around the hair, especially if it's a lighter hair like this. And so I've got kind of a mix of light and dark hairs in here. I'm not quite done with it, but I think this was a good start on it. And an interesting painting to do. I like the horns. I'm like, can I just cut that? I like his horns. So ZC, that was you, a Highland cow. So if that was you, we might do one of these full on here in this stream. But I'm thinking about it. And the last one is one that I really had a lot of fun painting. I'm not quite done with it. I've got to darken up my darks a little bit more on this guy, but this is obviously a puffin. There you can see his little legs down here. I think he's turning out fantastic. A few darker areas up here, a little darker throughout here. This seems to be a bit washed out here to me. Probably I'll throw in a little bit of dark underneath here too, and then something behind him, a shadow on the rock down here. But this guy's been a lot of fun to paint. This is super simple here. A lot of texture on his head here, and really I got everything wet. I put on a little neutral tint. I let the water do most of the work for me. And it really turned out to have some good features on that. So I'm super happy with this one. I can't wait to finish that one up. That's going to be really fun. So that's a few of the things that I've got going on or have had going on. I'll probably finish both of them. I'm going to try to finish both of them on Twitch this weekend. And then if things work out, then I'll probably make a standard video and post them here on YouTube about that. Okay, so fish still a little wet. I'm going to move on, in that case, to working on my fly rod. And fly rod doesn't need to be... Sudike, one day you want to try painting a beaver, like a beaver is one of those things that I don't know why that caught my attention. It's one of those animals that can be difficult because it's a lot of similar colors, a little bit of hair, although I think, if I'm remembering, it's more furry hair than stringy hair. So there may not be a ton of work to do there, but I think beaver is going to be difficult because it's going to be hard to differentiate some colors on there. I don't envy you trying to do that. And then the tail is something you got to kind of watch for. But beavers are cool. Tracy says, you love puffins. Good. And now everybody wants to know how you're going to paint the beaver. In the water, floating around, swimming, kind of outside chewing on a log. All right. And while we're discussing that, I'm going to make, I think I've talked about what I like to do for metal, right? This reel is metal. At least it was in the reference photo that I took it from. At the moment I don't have an actual fly rod. Maybe that'll change someday. But what I like to do when I paint metal is use a mixture of turquoise and Paynes Gray. And it always sounds funny when I say that because I like the same thing for glass. The difficulty is why you said one, Sudike. You're funny. I use a mixture of turquoise and Paynes Gray. Typically, if I'm going to paint something that's a shiny metal, the color obviously isn't right, and that's okay. It's close, and when you look at it, your eye's not going to go, oh, that color is way off, and it just looks weird. It just won't, because this blue-gray combination is close enough to a metal color that you'll just think of it as a metal. And the other thing it does is it gives you the opportunity to mix in some good shadows on here. So if you want to define some shape to this at this point, you're going to use a little blue for the shadow anyways. You can use this blue or gray mixture, and it will help to make that look really really nice. So let's see, Susie, I found a deep sea fishing reel in your garden. Yeah, okay. In your garden. Interesting. And you used it, or your brother-in-law used it. It must have needed a good cleaning for sure. Let's see. I'm going to paint, I don't know, what color do I want to paint the rod here? I'm not going to paint the back here because I'm going to paint that black. I guess I can paint this a dark color also. Let's get this a dark, with some of this neutral mixed in. Yeah, and by the time this is done, hopefully the trout, it's himself or herself, I don't know how to tell the difference between boy and girl trouts, will be dry. And I just realized I'm freehanding this, which means I'm guaranteed to have actually, I think I freehand the drawing too. So however I drew it, I'm going to have probably some kind of a crooked pole here, and I suppose that's okay. As long as everybody agrees not to say too much about it, I don't think anybody will notice. Whoa, I don't know. That's probably as good as I'm going to get that. My hands aren't always as stable as they used to be. And that's fine. You think the orangest thing is the cork handle? This here, yes, this is cork, right? That you would grip onto, where you would hold it, and the line comes off of here and would loop through up here. Right? Yes, this is cork. CDK, I like the way the metal thing next to the kind of orangish thing. This is the real, right? This whole thing is the rod. This would be, I guess I would call it the grip and the holder, right? There's a little clip here that holds the reel to the handle, and then this would be the butt of the rod back here. So in that whole thing. But if we want to call it the orangey thing and the metal-y thing, I'm kind of cool with that. And Natalie, thank you for confirming handles are usually cork. I'll settle for cork or some floaty-ish material. Okay. We're mostly dry. You know what I'm going to do is I'm not going to wait for it to fully dry. I'm going to attempt to work out here on the tail, and I'm going to re-wet this tail because this part would have dried a little bit more quickly than the rest of his body. So let's re-wet this, and this is going to give us time to spread some color around. Well, I guess maybe I don't always say I'm going to do this. Sometimes I say I'm going to do this, and then I kind of forget about it and forge ahead. I think tonight is a good night to remember to pre-wet the area that I'm working on. And as long as I'm working in thin layers, I can continue to re-wet and not worry too much about the paint lifting too much as I put the next layer on. All right. Let's see. I'm going to get some of this color in here. And maybe a little bit more. I'm working with a turquoise here. I really like turquoise as a color. I think it's fantabulous. But I want to get some color on here and let it mix and mix and mix a bit. Right, and there's kind of a break between the fin and the body, but not really. It's kind of a weird area. So we're going to paint our fin, our tail here, and then we'll just kind of push that up a little bit. We'll just make sure that gets inched up just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of this green. This is my Phthalo Green. And I'm going to mix that with just a bit of my yellow ochre. That yellow ochre is going to really tame that down. And I'm going to give some of this green color over here. That's probably more than I wanted. Ooh, that's a lovely, lovely color. I'm going to do some of that over here too. All right, okay, all right. Let's see if I can grab some of this green and work it back up the fish a little bit this way, hoping to unify these two areas just a bit. And I think we're going to do a little bit of this evening. This is gonna make my life fun because I love blending colors. So if I can do a lot of these little areas like this, I'm a happy camper. Love, love, love being able to blend these colors. I think I'm going to take this all the way from up here and bring it back, and we'll just blend this. We'll just pull this down towards the center of the fish. Uh-oh, we got some conversation going over here. I see something about a boy. Oh boy, I thought it said boys club. It says boys love. Okay. Okay, I think that's quite nice. And if we want this kind of to stop bleeding, right, we want to make sure we don't get it to come out too far. We can just put a little bit of like a dry brush and just brush back in there that little bit. Let's see. Liza says, Michael, you never seem to have a problem with water control. What's your secret? My secret is I can cover it up really well. Let's see. Natalie, your husband has quite a few rods. That's cool. The metal thing is a real. This metal-ish thing here. My secret to water control is learning how to cover up my mistakes. It's a great technique. Really, honestly, this right here that I hold in this hand, I have a sponge here and a little chamois that after I pull my brush out of my rinse water, I dab it on one of these two. That gets some of the water off. Then you'll see me tap onto here. That takes the rest of the water off if I think it's too wet. And that way I can usually do a decent job. Of keeping track of how much moisture is in my brush. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's see, is that paint lifting thing because of the paper? The paint lifting thing could be because of the paper. It could be because of the paint. I don't see one right now. Sometimes if you put the paint on in a thicker layer, and then you go back and put water over top of it, it will reactivate it if it's too thick, right? It'll be as though it's paint still on your palette over here. But if you put a thin layer on, it doesn't seem to lift nearly as much. So looking for some really nice thin layers to get on here. Let's see, Sherry Houston, outdoor person. Okay, fishing, hunting, and all that. Okay. Bass are cool too. Who did the bass? Did I miss a bass comment? Somebody painted a bass? ZC. What did I miss? I think the oranges thing is a cork handle. Let's see. I don't know where I missed the bass comment. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. ZC, all your boys love to fish, and you too. Nothing fancy though. Let's see. Natalie, your husband never let you put a hook on your fly rod, but you can use a spinning rod just fine. That's funny. I don't know why that would be. I would get out there and go, let's go fish. Gear up. Let's go do it. I've got the same mixture basically of Phthalo Green and yellow ochre. God, wow. I really had to think for a second. A little bit more green in this version of it. And I want to make sure I get some of this beautiful color up here on his head. And I'm going to bring that down almost to where this orange stripe is. And what I'm trying to do in reality is stay away from this area for just a minute. I'm going to let that dry a bit. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to do this dorsal fin up here. I've got my color basically where I need it now. This can continue to come down, and there's a bit more orange red in here. So I'm going to add that color. To his, I guess what I'm calling his upper lip. I'll call it that. I think that's a fair enough thing to call that. And then this comes down, something like that. The nice thing is that this is a fish. This is why I like doing painting some things more than others. This is a fish, and you know what happens if this fish doesn't look exactly like our reference photo? It looks like a million other fish that are out there. So, however we end up painting this fish is the right way to paint this fish. So, there's always that. Let's see. Oh, ZC, you painted a bass for your grandson. Okay, cool. I've painted a few. Actually, I should say, I remember this. One of the first things I ever painted was a bass. I remember this. I was in junior high school, and my art teacher wanted us to do some painting, and I painted a fish. I used to do a lot of fishing growing up. I loved fishing. I carried my fishing pole around with me just about everywhere. I would practice fishing in the yard, or practice casting anyways, in the yard every chance I got, so that if I ever had the opportunity to go out and do some fishing, my casting would be right on. I could do whatever I wanted to. And I had taken a number of fishing classes. How about that? I was in junior high school taking fishing classes. I went to them with my father, which was really nice. And so the Bassmasters logo, anybody who's been around, anybody who does much fishing has probably seen the Bassmasters logo. I actually painted that at one point in time as an art project for a high school art class. And I don't remember what kind of grades I ever got on it, but I do remember painting that and thinking, this is actually kind of cool. I got my own Bassmasters logo here. So that's my bass story. And then and then I went fishing one time. I caught a bass, by the way. Not very big. But I was in I was in a photography class at the time, and I had taken a picture like this holding my bass. You know, it's hanging down in front of me. So, of course, I was in a photography class. I was sitting in the dark room, and I'm like going, I'm going to make that fish bigger. So I took and blew up the fish and developed it, and then developed me in the background. So it looks like I'm holding a fish that's like 8 feet long. I thought it was great. Once my dad saw it, he kind of called me out and went, I'm not sure that this is the proper size. Oh, somebody got a hooked in the ear. Natalie, pretty sure he was afraid to get a hook in the ear. Oh, ooh, I hooked my grandfather once fishing. He was not happy about that. I was very little, and I hooked him. I also was fishing in a boat and went to cast out like this and hooked the pole behind me and flipped it over my head and into the water, and had to take a swim to go get that one. I was not happy at that point. that was a nightmare. Oh, I have lots of fishing stories. Let's see, Michael, are you one of many artists in your family? How are we defining family? In my genetic family, my brother and parents. My mother tried to take an art class at one point in time, and she couldn't do it. Not because she couldn't do it. She just kind of gave up on it. It was a lot of work for her, and she didn't enjoy all of the practice that she had to put in to try to get to the level that she wanted to be. And so she kind of packed that in, and which is fine. I get it. She was busy trying to raise 2 boys, and we were busy trying to make her life hard to raise 2 boys, as boys are from time to time. And so she kind of gave that up. My brother, my father, no interest in art, pretty much in the least. That's fine. They have other talents which work out, and my family now, I would say, yeah, quite a bit of artistic talent in there. My wife actually went to art school, and she won't tell you she is a good artist as far as painting or drawing. It's not the style of art that she has chosen, but she's very good. And my youngest is fantastic. Keeps a journal and draws and paints in it all of the time. Actually, probably, well, I say at this point, not probably, but draws much better than I do. Still think I'm better at painting. Have a better feel for color maybe, but it's probably not going to last too long that I'm going to get passed by in that area too. And that's totally fine. But not, I would say, not a large artistic contingency in my family. I think we were, okay, I like, we've got some general shape going on here. I can't get back into here to clean this up too much. I don't know that I need to do too much with that. But we've got some nice color on here. I like the greens. I like the ochre colors here. I like we're starting to define a little shape. You can almost see that this comes up in the center here. I think we're getting there. or we're on the right track anyways. But we do have a few more layers to go here. So Liza, I hope that answers your question. Not a whole lot of artistic, I don't want to say talent, I would say drive in my family, other than me. And now, like I said, my son is, my youngest is coming along with things, wanting to do more, and pretty creative person. So I think it's all good. I think it's pretty good going on there. Let's see. I'm just trying to I don't know, get a little bit of color in there. Well, I think we're getting there. At all. Oh, Susie, your mom used to do paint by numbers kits. Oh my God. Paint by numbers were so fun. Natalie, your kids spent endless hours trying to catch sunnies from the docks with a net and breadcrumbs. Oh my God. I have pictures when I was little. I had a cane pole, and apparently I would carry that cane pole all around and try to, every puddle, every creek, everything I came to, I would attempt to try to catch something in it. Why would you not? Why would you not, right? Maybe there's something in there. Something in there that's going to bite. You never know. It's worth a shot trying to figure it out. I do remember we had I can't imagine we bought it. We have to have gotten it given to us somehow or some way, shape or form, just because buying a purchase like this isn't something I ever imagined my parents doing. But we had a swimming pool, an above ground pool, not very big, but an above ground pool at my house growing up. But we had no way to heat it, and it was always cold, and so nobody ever got into it. So my father quit chlorinating it. So I went over to my buddy's house, caught a couple of fish from his house, brought them back, and yeah, you guessed it, I tossed them in our swimming pool. And so I could fish in my swimming pool for one summer till my dad realized what I was doing, and then he got a little upset about it. But I'm like, well, Dad, come on. I'm just trying to perfect my craft here. I thought it was funny. Who knew? He stayed alive for most of the summer. I'd catch him and put him back, catch him and put him back. I don't want to kill him. I wanted to keep him so I could keep fishing. Let's see. I might have gotten a little darker down here than I wanted to. Let's see if I can just pull a little bit of this color off of here. It's mostly ochre, so it should come off okay. You just have to worry about leaving a weird spot there. Get a clean rag. Yeah, okay. I think that's probably all I'm going to get. Let's see. Let's see, Dana, you painted by numbers, and that was the first time you ever painted a few years ago. Wow. CDK, my youngest one was really good and was able to go to the Art Institute in San Francisco. Wow. That's fantastic. Let's see. Dana, yes, those kits can really get you started. Some of those kits are really valuable now, too. I don't know if anybody has noticed that. Some of them really are quite valuable. Liza, you found them frustrating. This is always. Was always off on them. My problem with the paint by numbers one was I would forget which number I was painting into and paint into multiple numbers. Natalie, the little town I grew up in had an indoor fishing pond in the back basement of a hardware store. Wow. That would be cool. Sherry, you never heard of Sonny's? I used to catch Kaplan in a bucket. The Kaplan used to come to the beach to spawn. I don't know what Kaplan are. Sunnies, I'm assuming, are sunfish. See, you're laughing at me for fishing in my pool. What was I gonna do? That was the best, easiest place. I used to I used to hop the fence. So this is what I had to do to go fishing. I would hop the fence at my house, head back about, I'm not gonna say it in distance, right? So I'd walk about 4 acres. We had 6 acres of property. It was about 1 acre wide and about 6 acres deep, right? So this is how I know the rough dimensions. I don't know how many feet an acre is. But I would have to walk back about 4 acres. There were train tracks back there. Then I would turn. I would walk along the train tracks for about a half a mile or more. And then the guy who owned that house had a pond in his back, I don't know, his back acreage. Well, I was like, cool, he's got a pond back there, I'm going fishing. Well, if he would ever see me back there and try to catch me fishing in his pond, well, I would just quickly reel in and I'm off and going down the track. He never caught me. But I think one day he just kind of watched me. He let me do whatever I wanted to. Just kind of watched me and saw where I was where I was living. And so when I would sneak back there and go fishing in his lake, and he'd see, or in his pond, and he'd see me, then he would start heading over across everybody's property, bloop, 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 until he found me, and he'd catch me coming back up from the railroad tracks and start yelling at me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Just trying to have some fun fishing. What did I care? I don't know what I was. 14, 15 at the time. There was nothing he was going to say that was going to bother me too much. But I probably shouldn't have been fishing in his yard. I didn't keep any of the fish, but I probably shouldn't have been fishing on his property. Probably shouldn't have been. I know I used to always like to go over to my kindergarten teacher's house. She married one of the local dairy farmers in the town I grew up, and she and my mother were friends, and so she'd go over to visit. And I'm not going to say her name. But my mom would go over there to visit and take me along, and she would just go, can he just fish for a while? He's not going to bother anything. And she was right. I would just go over and they would do whatever they did. I have no idea. And I would just go over and do some fishing, and I was satisfied for hours. Bluegill are very popular where you're at. Bluegill are popular everywhere, I think, because they're fun and everybody can catch them. Everybody can catch a bluegill here and there. That's what makes them such wonderful fish, and they're sometimes pretty tasty too. All right, cool. So look, I've got his head and his gills here. I think that looks pretty good. We've now got this nice red stripe going right down his middle. We're kind of getting somewhere with this. I like where we're going. I really like where we're going with this. Now, we do have this area here. This fin here, which needs a little bit of love. How are we going to do this one? Let's go back into our friend green over here. Let's give him some green down here. Am I painting too quickly? Am I painting too slowly? How am I doing this evening? My blending is soft yet vibrant. Some days. Some days. So, you know, I said my mother didn't always like to put in the time when she painted to do a lot of the practice work and whatnot. I remember she used to do toll painting, right? If you've ever seen toll painting, it's just a type of oil painting, really. And she would paint things, and then she'd put them in the freezer, and they would sit in the freezer for days and weeks and months, and there were page after page after page of all of these strokes in the freezer. And like I said, after a while, she kind of got tired and probably got a bit expensive too. We didn't have a whole lot of money. Excuse me. Oh, I don't know how much toll paints are or were or any such thing as that. But whereas she didn't really like that or want to do that all that much. When I was learning how to do different strokes and trying to learn to control, the water on my brush and whatnot. And I still like to do it. I just don't quite do as much of it as I used to. And that got a little dark in here, and I'm going to see if I can pull some of this off. I would have pages upon pages upon pages of just blending, right? I wonder if I still have any of those pages at all. I would draw, I'd take a page about this size, and I would draw probably, I'd probably draw 8 or 10, maybe 12 rectangles on it. And I'd put some color down, and I'd go, okay, can I blend this? How am I going to blend this? And I would try to see if I could blend from top down. Can I blend it from bottom up? Can I start with color here and color there and blend them to the center and see what that looks like? And I would just spend hours doing that. And honestly, I always thought that was kind of a cool thing, that you could take whatever color you're working on and you could blend those colors such that one color would bleed really nicely into another color, and you wouldn't necessarily see any one spot that was the transition, but by the time you got to the other side, it had fully transitioned to that other color. I was always like, man, that is really a cool kind of a thing. And so I would spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing that. You thought toll paints were acrylic. Maybe they were. I don't know. Toll paints might be acrylics. I don't know. I really don't. My mom might have put them in the freezer because that was probably one area we weren't going to mess with them. I don't know. Hazelia is here. Welcome, Hazelia. That is an interesting name. I like it. Welcome to our Wednesday live stream. I say ours because I'm kind of leading the painting, but everybody else here has a big hand in how this goes. And if you want to get in on any conversation, please feel free to do that. We're all pretty friendly here. Toll paints are acrylics. Okay, there you go. I have no idea. Not a toll painter. I have used the toll road. Does that count? Dana, you did toll painting on wood with oil paints. I tried acrylics for toll painting, but oil painting was easier for toll paint. Oh, okay. I have no idea. No idea. You guys know much better than I do. Trying to drop a few fins on here. Let's just see how this goes. And then once we've got our fins on here, we've pretty much got all of those on there. We can start with our final final go around for adding dimension to this fish. Darken it here, keep it lighter there, darken it a little bit there, and we can really start to figure out what we want to do here and how exactly we want this guy to look. Right? How much color do we want to start putting on? Or how little color do we want to start putting on? We should start to be able to define that a little bit. I do want to leave the tail a little bit lighter. Maybe we'll put a little bit of something on the tail here in a minute. But right now I've got kind of a halo around here that I kind of want to address. That's a little darker than it is the rest of the way up here. Kind of want to address that. So there's a few things we can do to adjust this guy to make him a little bit different, a little bit better. Let's see. I don't think you can reactivate acrylic paints once if it dries. Can you? Hence the freezer trick. Oh, I don't know. I've admitted not to knowing. I should. Let's see. I see. Now, I can't even text my mom to find out why she did it because it's 11 o'clock where she's at. And I would just wake her up, and then she'd be mad at me. And if there's one thing I don't want, I don't want my mom mad at me. Mom, if you watch this in replay, I think you did a great job. I don't. Okay, all right, let's see what we got here. I want to keep his head up here a little greener, so I've mixed. I don't fish, and I have never tried acrylic. Liza's 0 for 2 on this stream. Good thing you've done some watercolor painting. All right, I'm going to give him a little. I'm going to start with that, I think, and I'm going to pull this out and see where this gets us. So, brush mostly dried off. If you push back into the paint, right? Don't swish the paint around too much. If you push your water back into the paint, you can really control the flow of the water. if you put your brush in the paint and pull it out, you just end up pulling the paint out, and then a lot of times you have that little rim around the edge, which I don't always like. Sometimes it's kind of needed, but I don't always like it. But if you start outside with a slightly damp brush and move your brush into the paint, then you can really kind of direct how you want that water to flow in there. Now that's a tip that probably you don't get everywhere. I'll bet you that's a tip you don't get in lots of places. Sherry, you haven't touched acrylic since you discovered watercolors. That's the right answer. There's no wrong answer, but that's the right answer. I have used acrylics exactly once since I've started watercolor painting. And I think it's very safe to say I've used acrylics exactly once since like a art class in high school or some such thing as that. During COVID, my local library just had an art class you could sign up for. It was kind of, I'm going to give them credit, it was kind of neat. You could sign up for it. You could go to the library, pick up your supplies, they provided them, and then you go home and you get on a Zoom meeting and you do whatever that art is, and you all do it as a group. Cool. So one of them was, I don't know, it was painting, what was it? It was painting some kind of Eastern Appalachian lizard or some such thing on a piece of fiberboard or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they provided all the materials. I was like, cool. I mean, that sounds like fun. So I gave it a shot, and as it turned out, it was kind of fun. It just wasn't fun enough to ever make me want to paint with acrylics again. Nothing against anything except acrylics, because they're not watercolors. That's terrible. I shouldn't say that. But given that it's watercolors with Michael, maybe I should. Michael, I've noticed you always do the eye last. Did you? I do almost always do the eye last, and that's on purpose, because the eye sets the personality. And if I paint this whole thing, it's going to sound odd, but just hang with me. If I paint this whole thing and I paint him or her, whatever, right, thinking that totally nice guy, this lovely fish that I'm painting here this time, and I paint with like a soft way that I'm doing it, and then I stop and I paint his eye, and the eye comes out with this weird angry look on it, then I want to be surprised by that weird angry look on it. If I paint this and start with the eye and it gives me an angry look, then that's going to make me want to paint the rest of it in kind of this angry way. And so lots of times I don't want to know that eye is going to give so much personality to whatever animal it is that I don't always want to mess with that too much. Did that make any sense? That's kind of how I think of painting eyes on animals. I feel like it gives you a lot of direction or let's see, it can push you in a certain way. How about that? Let's see. Okay, good. Tracy's saying, let's responding to Dana, I'm assuming I would rather do watercolors instead of acrylics. Acrylics dry too quickly. Tracy says they do dry extremely quickly. But when you use them, you create a wet palette. Okay, cool. That's interesting. And Sherry, standing up for watercolors. Thank you. Thank you for standing up for watercolors. Gouache would be a good compromise, but it's no watercolor. Thank you. Coming to watercolors defense. Not that it needs defense or anything. I just okay, let's get I'm just going to kind of do the same thing I did here. See how here I kind of have that little bit of halo around here, but here I've kind of been able to bring that color down a little bit. I hope I brought the color down without getting rid of some of that red though. That's my goal here. And I'm okay with the fish being a little greener than normal, a little whatever. That doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me in the least. I think I'm going to do something like this and then really dry brush. I'm tapping my brush dry. Nice dry brush. I'm going to bring that across. Clean it. Bring it across just to make that water come down to almost nothing right there. Susie, you only paint with water, Susie. Gouache never had a softness to me. It's like front and center. Interesting. Don't ask me anything about gouache. I've used gouache to paint a couple of plants in front of a watercolor painting, like some grasses in front of a different watercolor painting, and literally that's as much as I've used gouache. I can't say anything about it. That's terrible. It's not really terrible. I don't know. I think watercolors are so cool. And you can do so much with watercolor. Okay, cool. I've got most of that halo out of here. Most of it. There's a little bit here and a little bit there. We can call that maybe a little highlight, I think. I hope. I think what I need to do, though, is start to add a little, might be a little green. Start to add a little bit of color in a couple of these areas to give a little bit fuller dimensionality. Let's see, while I'm thinking of it, well, I should say, I'll say two things here. Does anybody remember when, well, her name's Jennifer Newman. Jen's wild about art. Remember when she was on here? She's a Australian. She was painting watercolors for a while. She's kind of moved on to some other. She's doing ink and wash now. I saw her over the weekend, And she's moved on to doing a lot of architectural paintings, which are really cool. So she's putting a book out of her architectural renderings for Adelaide, whatever. That's kind of cool. I'm always excited when somebody that I know does a cool venture like that. Anyways, and then Jennifer Newman Art, that's her. She did a beautiful rhino drawing today. She did. I stopped into her Twitch stream on my lunch hour to say hello to her. She did do a rhino today. And then Tracy, if you want to tell everybody, I know you stream pretty regularly. If you want to tell everybody what you're up to, please take a moment to do that. That would be awesome. Let's see. Tracy says, I love watercolors best of all over other paints. They're far more interesting when putting on paper and extremely portable. Yes, that's... So when all honesty, when I started doing watercolor painting, I was looking for any kind of art escape. And the one thing for sure that drew me to watercolors was it could set up quickly, I could clean up quickly, and it didn't take a lot of space in my apartment at the time. 3 big things in its favor. Plus, the other thing is that it's extremely cool. You can paint in any style you want to with watercolors. Not something you can always do or do easily at all with any other medium. Right? You can kind of do it with oils and acrylics, and you can make these really loose paintings, but I don't know, the colors just, to me, don't mix quite as nicely as they do for watercolors. Let's see, Tracy working on a lot of graphite portrait sketches at the moment, which are extremely cool. Was happy to see part of one. I got called away, having to chauffeur some kids around a little bit. It happens. But I got to see part of one drawing, and it was extremely cool. Let's see, I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush, and I'm going to do a little bit of line work here, which is not exactly my forte, but we'll get through it. All I have to do is get something close to a circle here. Just to show that there's an indication of a little depth and dimensionality in here. All right, maybe we have a little bit of a shadow around that and that. We've got a little shadow on this side. This is like where the bearing is at, in the center of this. Come on, color. If we make this a little larger, that'll show a little extra shadow on that side. That way we'll know which way the light is coming from. Look, all of a sudden, it's not too bad. I'm going to darken this a little bit more over here. Look at that, all of a sudden, it's got some dimension to it. Liza, you think I, and everybody including me in this chat, is blessed to love color and steady hands. I love steady hands. I don't always feel like I have steady hands, but I do like that. I wish I had steadier hands. I guess the beauty of watercolors is this, right? If you don't have steady hands, then probably you're still going to love watercolors, but you're going to do looser paintings. How about that? That's something you can't do with every other type of medium. Take that oil painting. All right, a couple of holes in there. Should I fill those in? Don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm wasting time. Good point. I'm wasting time because if you've ever seen a trout, if you zoom in there, you know that trout have like 400,000 spots on them. So I'm deciding what to do here with these 400,000 spots that I've got to put on. I have an idea. I'm just not exactly sure how good it's going to play out. I'm going to put something on there, and I know you're all going to say, no, it looks great, because you're all so kind. But I hope it really does look that good. All right. I'm not going to futz too much. Dots. Dots. Lots of dots. I kind of like the way this is going so far. I need to do a little work here, right? The transition from the dorsal fin to the body needs a little work. This needs a little something. I think I've got a plan for that. Maybe a couple lines here and here. Ooh, and then it's going to be dot heaven. The real looks real. Yeah, if I could just cut that part out, the rest of it looks great. Oh, okay. I'm gonna get into my black here. And I'm gonna do a little bit of the end of the pole. And I'm purposely going to do it in a couple of different groups here, because I want this area to be distinctly different from the next area, which will be distinctly different from the next area. I want there to be a hard line between those areas, you know, a little tide line. I'm good with that. I'm going to get a little bit of blue in here. I'm going to put it right. I might have to get a little bit more than that. All right, maybe there's a little blue to this down on that side, so you can just see a little bit of. Let's not be afraid to give it a little bit more color in there. Splatter. No splatter. I'll limit the number of dots before I do splatter. I can't do splatter. Not gonna happen. Good try. I like the thought. It sounds fun. It's not gonna happen. No. Whose idea was that? Whose idea was that? Who? Susie. Oh. So my new announcement, Susie's getting a lifetime ban from the channel. You can hear the chant. No, not gonna happen. Sorry. Sorry. No, and more no. I might have a little too much of that black in there. Let's pull that off. All right. So I'm going to wait for that to dry a little bit. I'm going to come up here and not do any splatter. I'm going to get my medium-sized brush here. And I'm going to put a little bit of color, or I'm sorry, a little bit of water here. And I don't know, give me some of these colors. Let's give a little extra color on here. Give me some of that blue. And then that's got to come down to some of this green down here, and that should just kind of go over the top of that, I hope. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. If it doesn't, we can kind of ask it to nicely. Come on now. Here we go. See what happens when you ask real nice. That color just blended together really nicely. Maybe give me a little bit more of this blue over here just for fun. I like these colors in here. My only concern, if I don't kind of blend these a little bit more, is that I'm going to have one spot that's going to look really like garish. This is not this is not the perfect situation for splatter. This is just let me guide the conversation away from splatter for a moment or forever. This is not the right time. Yes, ZZ, you love it when other people splatter, not so much when you do it. I'm going to use the excuse. All right, here, I'm just going to tell you, I would do it. I'd be happy to do it. But I don't have a way to cover all the white, and it would just make the rest of the painting look so bad. So there you go. I would love to, but I can't do it. That's just how it is. Sorry. Is anybody buying that? Is anybody buying that, or are you still believing I just don't want to do it? There's no way. There's no way. But I am going to try to put a few. Well, by the time we get up here, it kind of goes. A few fin marks. I don't know. Do I think I can guide this group in the right direction? Like it was worth a shot. I had to try. If I didn't try, no, you guys are going to take the conversation whichever direction you want to go anyway, which I'm normally happy to go with. But this is what I always tell my team at work, but I have to do a little expectation setting here. And the expectation setting means finding a good way to say, ain't gonna happen. Not tonight. Not tonight. Sorry. Some night we're painting trees, some kind of happy tree or something, and we want to do some splatter for some leaves. I'm way more comfortable with that. That would be an awesome application of the splatter. If we say one night, hey, we're going to do some experimenting, and we're going to have some fun with some splatter paintings. Cool. Perfect application of the splatter. Off the cuff when I'm 3/4 done with a painting. Not going to happen. It's just not. If this group got together in person, we would never get any painting done. Well, no, what we would do is we would all get our colors out, and then we would do about 4,000 comparisons, and then we'd talk about why we bought this paint as opposed to that paint, and how it compares to that other paint, and then by the time that's done, then it would be dark and we wouldn't be able to see what we were painting anyways, and so then we'd all just have to, I don't know, go out for a drink or something, whatever we would do. Something of that sort. That's the way I see it. All right, let's see. Couple lines here to represent some of the fin a little bit. We'd be laughing for hours. Then we would swap paint. There would probably be a lot of paint swapping too. That's true. That's true. See, this is why I love this. This is Wednesday, and this is why I'm so reluctant to give this up and to do anything else, because this makes me laugh. This is so good. Everybody should have something like this on one day a week, where they can just kind of sit back and laugh and have some fun about things. Right? We don't talk anything serious. We're not talking politics or anything like that. I don't care what anybody's politics are. This watercolor talk is the best. It's absolutely the best. So I'm just drawing a couple lines in here. That might still be a little wet. I think that'll be all right. A couple of different colors going into that tail. I just want to give the indication of what am I trying to say? Give the indication that there's a little bit of some ribbing in there. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just that little bit. I think we're good. A little bit. His eye here has kind of a line through it, and then, okay, so we're almost to everybody's favorite spot now. You know what I'm going to mix here? I'm going to take a little bit of the sepia. Come on, sepia. There we go. That blue can go in there too. A little bit of that sepia. I'm going to get a little bit of this neutral tint. And I'm going to take just a bit of this Paynes Gray. And that's going to be my spot color right there. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's soda water. Okay, fine. Okay, it doesn't matter what anybody has to drink. We'd all just go out and have a good old time. I think that would be the most important thing, is just to go out and enjoy it. Oh, I'm looking over at my stack of brushes over here. I love my pointed brushes. but pointed brushes aren't always the best for dots. All right, let's do a little test here. It's time to do a dot test. Here's my painted. Here's my pointed brush with its dots. Yep. See, this is the problem I have with pointed brushes. So these are small. I'm going to lift them up. Right? The dots they have a shape to them. They're not round. But let's see. Let's get this one. Okay. This one is I actually like this brush very much. This is a Casaneo brush by Da Vinci. It's got a much rounder tip, not nearly as pointed. That might be the way to do it. You can see the difference, how pointed one is compared to the other ones. All right, who's getting banned? Who's doing the splatter chat? Somebody's gonna get out of here. Okay, let's grab some of this color. Oh, and now the goal here is your Dottie. The goal here is to make this not look put on with purpose. Got to totally be random. How hard can it be, right? How hard can it be? That's probably still wet. Let's come up here where we know it's dry. Too much. Kind of like a freckle here. Some bigger, some smaller. I do think it's interesting that none of them really go into the red. Right? You got a couple, well, I shouldn't say none. There's a couple, but most of them don't really go into the red, which I think is really fascinating. Why is that red area so much less dotted than everything else? See, look. Lots of dots. Looks fantastic. Looks fantastic-ish. Ooh, man, that is a lot of dots. I got to remember not to dot the fishing pole. Probably that doesn't need to be dotted. Go get the toothbrush. Susie, you know a way I can get him on here, but it's yes. It's not going to take long. All these will be here. Bigger, smaller. Ouch. Some of them look a little placed on purpose. Trying to get away from some of that. Oh, I think he looks pretty good. I think he looks pretty good. I got a little angly on a couple of them. Angly, maybe not the right term. Lab accident. Welcome. Welcome. You just missed the great debate. I could have used your help. They were all asking for splatter on here, and I knew that you would want me to do the dots by hand, just to make sure the quality was right. Oh, Sadiq, thank you for mentioning that. Please, if you would, if you're enjoying the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. That'll help me out a great deal. That'll boost me in the YouTube algorithms, and it'll suggest my videos to more people. Bam, thank you, Liza. Thank you, thank you. Just define the eye, and it'll be 100%. Define the eye. Yeah, define the eye. All right, I will take up the challenge. I'm looking over here, my reference photo. I think I understand what you're talking about. The eye's good. The eye's lovely. I would put it around the sides with a turquoise. Honestly, if I had put splatter around it. No splatter. No. Splatter's a bad word. Nobody's mentioning splatter. Nobody even wanted to see splatter. It was the strangest thing. Nobody even mentioned it at all. So that was weird. Sherry, would you glaze him with some pearl essence? See, now we're talking. Would I glaze him with some pearl essence? That actually is not a bad idea at all. How is that eye, Liza? Does it look better? Look better? All you need was a little bit underneath there. Let's just take a quick look here. Okay, 1 second. So, as it turns out, I do have some pearl essence. What I don't have is a small mixing tray, which I will have in about another second. Now, you guys want to know about an art haul? Went to a estate sale, and somebody was selling these. They must have been some kind of a teacher of some sort. And I got about a dozen of these for like $1, some such thing. It was very inexpensive. And I get to use them for situations just exactly like this. All right, I'm gonna move Mr. Trouty Pants up here for just a second, and I got some clean water. I think I want to pull out this color. Ooh, that's nice and pearly. Oh, I just thought about it. Now my now my rinse water up here is going to be all glittery, and my brushes will be glittery for a day. That's okay. And then let's get some. I'm going to make it real. Well, I'll go with this. I'm going to go with this. All right, this will be my green glittery color. This will be a fun thing to do. See, this is much more fun than, way more fun than splatter painting. It's glitter painting. Come on, what could be better than that, right? Who has this set of metallics? ZC? I think this one that I have, see, I'm not even doing this in front of you now. I think the one that I have came from Michael's. Would you have gotten yours there? It's probably a pretty common set. I don't think there's much really special about that set. Okay, cool. So I've got some green, I've got some red-ish colors. Let's pull him back down a little bit. Clean brush. You know what though? Okay, this is going to be difficult because my spots aren't dry. You can see some are still wet there. Let's do this. I think we can still do this. We'll just add a touch of glitter. How's that? Ooh, that really comes on. Tracy, you have these. You haven't used them in years. There's probably a reason nobody's used these. That's okay. I couldn't tell you when the last time I used these is. It's probably been quite a long time ago. All right. I'm going to get a little bit of glitter on these gills here. We just won't do the whole thing. We'll just do part of it. But you know what? Already, it's adding an interesting element to this. So, well, okay, you're not seeing glitter per se. You're seeing wet, damp paper, I think. Maybe we can do, trying to get this so you can see what I'm doing here. Let's get this wet. Maybe we can give, if I can do this, I'm afraid to glaze back on top with those black spots being there. So here's our green glitter. Oh, wow. That's brighter than I thought it was going to be. Oh. Okay, I got to dry here. I can just imagine trying now to take a picture of this for the thumbnail, and it's gonna reflect everything. It's not gonna work because it's gonna be all reflected. Okay, let's get a little bit more of this color quickly so we don't dilute our spots too much. And actually this will actually work out really nicely. Because then, then the issue is y'all are going to have to spend an extra 10 minutes with me while we wait for this to dry to see what it really looks like. But I think that's what I'm going to do. Is it? That's just damp. That's just damp. That looks just damp in the middle. Okay, so we got a second to wait. Who's got fine tech colors? Explain to me what fine tech colors are. Ooh, I've set a fine tech about 10 colors. What are the fine tech colors? You're also fighting it. We are breaking you out in your way. He's looking a little scaly, a lot more trout-ish. I love making new words out of old words. No, making new words out of words. At work, we have a saying that it's always a good idea to verb nouns. So you could be sciencing, or some such thing as that, right? Just any way to make a noun into a verb. Oh, you have fine tech metallics. I got a deer. Wait, I got a deer in the paddock. We're great. You love the energy here. I hope everybody likes energy. Okay. So step number 2, right? Is put some kind of shadow on here. I'm just going to use, I know it's going to have glitter in it. I just know it's going to have glitter in it. I'm going to mix up a little bit of neutral tint. Not gonna try to make any kind of a blue shadow or anything like that. And I'm gonna just put some water down pretty much all the way around this guy. Right? I'm gonna choose a side. The light's coming this way. So we're gonna get our shadows over here. And I'm okay to get a little extra water on here. Oops, clear. Because if I get a little extra water on here and it sits here for a small amount of time, I'm okay with that. You guys all know I have such trouble with shadows anyways. I don't like doing shadows. They make me nuts. I don't like doing them because they make me nuts. I guess it's the better way to say that. But if I don't do something, this guy's just going to be kind of floating in space. And the only thing that should be in space are pigs. Not that I'm advocating shooting pigs into space. I'm advocating watching Pigs in Space on The Muppet Show. If anybody remembers The Muppet Show other than me, which I loved The Muppet Show. I believe Link Hogthrop was on there. I think I've gone off the rails now if I'm talking about Link Hogthrop being on The Muppet Show. Well, does anybody else remember that on The Muppet Show? Come on, somebody must. I can't be the only one that ever used to watch The Muppet Show. Somebody please tell me they watched The Muppet Show. And Pigs in Space. Love The Muppet. Tracy, you're raising your hand. Okay, good. Pigs in Space. Woo! You guys had me for a minute. I was like going, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I lost the crowd. We've been doing it for an hour and 50 minutes, and I finally lost the crowd. But if you guys remember the Muppets and Pigs in Space, we're all good. Okay, all right. So, got a little bit of a shadow on here. I'm not going to sweat too much of it. I'm not going to sweat too much of it. We've got some. My goal has been achieved. The fish is just not floating in space. Actually, I like this shadow down here for the rod. That's my favorite part. Okay. I'm trying to think. I went to get some pictures, but the mosquitoes are out tonight. Yay. I have to say, that's one thing I like about living where I live is we don't have mosquitoes. We might have them this year. We had a pretty wet spring, but usually we don't have them. Okay. I am going to call this good. I'm going to sign this. I don't know. I'll sign it right here. That's close to a signature. Dab off a little water. And now we should be able... Oh, I can see some here. So if I pick this up, you can see there's definitely some shininess on there. Whose call was that to get a little bit of sparkle on there? That was a good call. Who gets the credit for this one? Who gets the credit for the sparkliness on there? I think that was a good call. So, actually, hold on, stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. I left a little highlight here, but I think you could probably use maybe just a bit more of a highlight here and there. Let's give a little bit here. I'm going to try and reach over top. A highlight up there, if you can see that. Ooh, I like the way that turned out down there. Let's give another one. We'll give one there too. And something on that side. That should help out a little bit. Okay. So let's talk. Actually, I really enjoy doing this because it helps me with a little self-reflection on what I've done. So let's talk soaring heights, abject disasters. Other than the fact that I had a great time doing this, let's talk about some of the good things on here. I like the way his gills look here. It's kind of this two-fangled gill pattern. Let's see if I can do this. Now see, this is kind of opposite what it should be now, but it worked on the previous screen. You can kind of see there are two kind of gills there for him. I actually like the way his jaw looks down here. I like the red on his upper lip here. I do like the color in his fins all around. And I like the way the reel turned out. I don't think it's perfect, and that's okay. But if you look at it, the shadows are a little deeper here and back here and a little lighter on this side, and all of the little circles around there have a consistency to them. So you can imagine those being holes on there, and then this and this being the little knob that you would turn, right? I think that's all wonderful. I think there's just enough dark on the cork here to make this round-ish. I think maybe in the middle here could have done a little bit more to continue the dark from here and the dark from here all the way through. Right? If I were doing this on a Saturday afternoon, I had an extra hour, I'd come back and I'd correct that, and I might do a couple of other things, but there's nothing I want to call out as being overtly, bad or anything. I want to put in a mark in this fin. I guess I didn't do that. Give me a little gray in here. Just a little line in there. I rather like the way this fin kind of hangs out here, and this one hangs out. This one I'm not sure was quite as successful. I actually do like the glitter that's on here. It's hard to show it. There you can see some on the tail. And you can see it here on the head. There you go, you can see it. It didn't come out quite as well here, but it did add, it's a little harder for you all to see, but I can see it. It did add a bit of granularity in here that so many times the M. Graham paints don't allow for because they're ground so fine. And then I'll take what I can get on all the spots out here. These ones got a little washed out because they have the color over top of them. A couple of them here got a little stretched because of the glazing on the top. But all in all, you're not going to look at this and go, it looks out of place. With all the dots, you're going to look at it and go, hey, it looks like a trout with a bunch of spots on it. So, my goal is not to duplicate the reference photo. My goal is to, pay homage to it, and I think we did that. So, with that, I'm going to call this done, and I want to thank everybody who's here. Let me see. Hold on a minute. I think I can do this. People still here, I believe. Dana Labaxton, Liza, Natalie, Sherry, Sudike, and ZC. You are all still here, and so I want to say thank you for hanging with me. If that is not right, I'm sorry. Tracy, if you're still here. Susie, did I say Susie? I'm trying to scroll back to see who's been here. It's hard for me to rip through these. Everybody, thank you for joining me on this Wednesday evening. I very much enjoyed it. I had a great time this Wednesday. I hope you all had a wonderful time too. We will meet back here. Fingers crossed, we'll all meet back here next week at Wednesday and do this all over again. I'm really looking forward to that. So next week it will be another something that I dream up. The following week will be beetles, and I've got several drawn out. I'll probably do at least 2. And I'm looking forward to it. So until next week, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.